Photograph a historic site, help Wikipedia, and win a prize. Participate in the world's largest photography competition this month. Learn more. Non-fiction novel. 8 languages. This article needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. Find sources: non-fiction novel, News Times, newspapers, Times Books, Times Scholar, Times Chester, June 2022. Learn how and when to remove this message. The non-fiction novel is a literary genre that, broadly speaking, depicts non-fictional elements, such as real historical figures and actual events, woven together with fictitious conversations, and uses the storytelling techniques of fiction. Citation needed: the non-fiction novel is an otherwise loosely defined and flexible genre. The genre is sometimes referred to using the slang term faction, a portmanteau of the words fact and fiction. History of the genre, edit. Genre established, edit. The genre goes back at least as far as André Breton's Nadja, 1928, and several books by the Czech writer Václav Nezval, such as Ulysse Git Lakoya, 1936. One of the early English books in the genre is Rebecca West's Black Lamb and Grey Falcon, 1941. 2. Jim Bishop's The Glass Crutch, 1945, was advertised as one of the most unusual bestsellers ever published, a non-fiction novel. 3. Perhaps the most influential non-fiction novel of the 20th century was John Hersey's Hiroshima, 1946. 4. Scholar David Schmid writes that many American writers during the post-World War II period, including Joan Didion, Truman Capote, and Norman Mailer, chose to follow Hersey's lead. 5. In the New York Times, Herbert Mitgang referred to Paul Goodman's Making Do, 1963, as falling into the category that growing one which might be called the non-fiction novel. 6. The next year, he applied the term to Leon Uris's Armageddon, 1964. 7. Early influences on the genre can be traced to books such as Kasetnik 135633s, Yale Diner. Novellas Salamandra, 1946, and House of Dolls, 1953, Carlos Buloson's America is in the Heart, 1946, and John Dos Passos's USA Trilogy, 1930-36. 8. House of Dolls describes the journey of explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. The young Daniela Palchnik during the Holocaust, as she becomes part of the Joy Division, a Nazi system keeping Jewish women as sex slaves in concentration camps. The book's plot was inspired by the diner's experience from the Holocaust and his younger sister, who did not survive the Holocaust. Works of history or biography have often used the narrative devices of fiction to depict real-world events. Scholars have suggested that the novel Operation Massacre, 1957, by the Argentine author and journalist Rodolfo Walsh was the first non-fiction novel in Spanish. 9. 10. Walsh's Operation Massacre, edit. Rodolfo Walsh's Operation Massacre, 1957, details the José León Suárez Massacre, 11, which involved the unlawful capture and shooting of 12 innocent civilians by the Buenos Aires chief of police, during an unrelated military uprising by the Peronist rebel leader Juan José Valle. 11. These events followed a 1955 military coup, self-titled as Revolución Libertadora, the Liberating Revolution. 11, which deposed the Argentine constitutional president Juan Domingo Perón and installed a dictatorship, whose leader was the hardline General Pedro Eugenio Aramburu, into power. 11. The book's style makes use of a constant shift between the first and third person narrative, with the protagonist's voices heard throughout the narration. 11. Interspersed with facts and details of the events described. 11. Capote's In Cold Blood, edit. Truman Capote later adopted the genre. He argued that the non-fiction novel should be devoid of first-person narration and, ideally, free of any mention of the novelist. Citation needed. He was immediately intrigued after reading the story of the Clutter murders in the New York Times, and used the events surrounding the crime as a basis for In Cold Blood, 1965. He spent years tracking the story, spent considerable time with the people involved, watched hours of film footage, listened to recordings, and read transcripts and notes. He once claimed, citation needed, that everything within the book would be true, word for word. To gather details, Capote interviewed the murderers, Richard Hickok and Perry Smith. Citation needed, but Ben Yagoda notes that almost from the start, skeptics challenged the accuracy of In Cold Blood. One early revelation, acknowledged by Capote before his death in 1984, was that the last scene in the book, a graveyard conversation between a detective and the murdered girl's best friend, was pure invention. 12. In his review of the book in The American Scholar, Robert Langbaum wrote, "Once we look at structure, we find many non-fiction works as artful and sometimes more artful than many novels." Northrop Frye has, in his influential Anatomy of Criticism, gone so far as to apply the word fiction to any work of art in prose. By taking Capote at his word and comparing his book to a novel, we can both appreciate his achievement and see its limits. For its best effects are novelistic and it falls short just where it is not novelistic enough. 13. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Other 20th century examples, edit. This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. June 2011, learn how and when to remove this message. Other examples of the form are Wild Colonial Boys, 1948, by Frank Clune, covering Australian bushrangers of the 19th century. The Crucible, 1953, by Arthur Miller, covering the Salem witch trials of 17th century. 14. The Armies of the Night, 1968, by Norman Mailer, a narrative which is split into a history and a novel, about the 1967 March on the Pentagon, citation needed, and the Executioner's Song. 1979. Roots, The Saga of an American Family, 1976, by Alex Haley, which relates the story of the author and his family history for 9 generations. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, 1994, by John Berendt. According to Queenie, 2001, by Beryl Bainbridge, which describes the last few years of Samuel Johnson's life as seen through the eyes of Queenie Thrale. Dispatches, 1977, by Michael Hare, which reflects on the journalist's reporting from Vietnam. The Day of the Jackal, 1971, by Frederick Forsyth, describes the attempt by the OAS to assassinate Charles de Gaulle, who they believe is a traitor to France after he declares independence to Algeria. Although the opening depiction of the assassination attempt as planned by Bassian Lyry is true, the subsequent plot is totally fictional. Tom Wolfe's The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, 1968, was an example of the school of new journalism, often characterized as an invention of the mid-1960s. The novel is hybridized with journalistic narration, which, like Capote's prose, places little emphasis on the process of narration. Although Wolfe, unlike Capote, occasionally narrates from first person. Hunter S. Thompson's approach of gonzo journalism, in books like Hell's Angels, 1966, abandoned Capote's narrative style to intermingle personal experiences and observations with more traditional journalism. Reduced usage, edit. This section's factual accuracy is disputed. Relevant discussion may be found on the talk page. Please help to ensure that disputed statements are reliably sourced. June 2022, learn how and when to remove this message. This section possibly contains original research. Please improve it by verifying the claims made and adding inline citations. Statements consisting only of original. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Research should be removed. June 2022, learn how and when to remove this message. Since the 1970s, the non-fiction novel has somewhat fallen out of favor. However, forms such as the extended essay, the memoir, and the biography, and autobiography, as well as autofiction, can explore similar territory. Joan Didion, for instance, has never called her own work a non-fiction novel, while she has been repeatedly credited, by whom, with writing them but calling them extended or long essays. Citation needed. Late 20th century works, edit. This section does not cite any sources. Please help improve this section by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. June 2022, learn how and when to remove this message. A tomb for Boris Davidovic, Serbo-Croatian, Grobnica za Borisa Davidovia / is a collection of 7 short stories by Dana Loki published in 1976, and translated into English by Duska Mikic Mitchell in 1978. The stories are based on historical events and deal with themes of political deception, betrayal, and murder in Eastern Europe during the first half of the 20th century, except for Dogs and Books, which takes place in 14th century France. Citation needed. Several of the stories are written as fictional biographies wherein the main characters interact with historical figures. The Dalkey Archive Press edition includes an introduction by Joseph Brodsky and an afterword by William T. Vollman. Citation needed. Harold Bloom includes A Tomb for Boris Davidovic in his list of canonical works of the period he names The Chaotic Age, 1900. Present, in the Western canon. Citation needed. The book is featured in Penguin series Writers from the Other Europe from the 1970s, edited by Philip Roth. Citation needed. Later works classified as non-fiction novels include The Mystery of Beautiful Nell Cropsey, a non-fiction novel, 1993, by Bland Simpson, which tells the dramatic story of the disappearance of 19-year-old Nell Cropsey from her Riverside home in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, in November 1901. Citation needed, In the Time of the Butterflies, 1995, by Julia Alvarez, which fictionalizes the lives of the Mirabal sisters who gave their lives fighting a dictatorship in the Dominican Republic, based on their accounts. Citation needed, and a Civil Action, 1996, by Jonathan Ha, which describes the drama caused by a real-life water contamination scandal in Massachusetts in the 1980s. Citation needed. Homer Highcam, author of Rocket Boys, 1998, and other well-known memoirs, has described his work as novel memoirs or novoirs, wherein he uses novelistic techniques, including fictional conversations, to allow the essential truth of his stories to be revealed. Citation needed. See also, edit. Autobiographical novel. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. GP. Creative nonfiction. Docudrama. Gonzo journalism. Docufiction. Educational entertainment. Historical fiction. Infotainment. List of genres. Real person fiction. Roman A. Clef. True crime. References, edit. 1 Faction definition, complete list of book genres. The 8th of January, 2019. 2 Roip, Katie, the 18th of December, 2012. Rebecca West, 10 Reasons to Worship Her. Slate Magazine. Retrieved the 4th of August, 2020. 3 Display Ad 87, page 19. The New York Times. The 13th of March, 1946. 4 Schmid, David, 2011. The Nonfiction Novel. The Cambridge History of the American Novel, 986. 1001 do. 10.1017/9780521899079.065. ISBN 9780521899079. 5 Schmid, David, 2011. The Nonfiction Novel. The Cambridge History of the American Novel, 986. 1001 do. 10.1017/9780521899079.065. ISBN 9780521899079. 6 Mitgang, Herbert, the 24th of December, 1963. Books of the Times, News Bulletins from a Novelist. The New York Times. Retrieved the 3rd of August, 2020. 7 Mitgang, Herbert, the 28th of June, 1964. Problems. The New York Times. ISSN 0362-4331. Retrieved the 4th of August, 2020. 8 Weber, Bruce, the 26th of April, 2012. Virginia Spencer Carr, 82, literary biographer, dies. The New York Times. 9 Weisbord, Silvio, 2000. Watchdog Journalism in South America, News, Accountability, and Democracy. New York, Columbia University Press. p. 282 pages. ISBN 0-231-11975-5. 10 link, Daniel, 2007. Rethinking Past Present, PDF. Review, Literature and Arts of the Americas. 40, 75, 2. Routledge, 218230. Do. 10.1080/08905760701627711. S2 SID 1439138856. 11 ABCDEF Rodolfo Walsh and the Struggle for Argentina, by Stephen Phelan, 28 October 2013. Boston Review. 12 Yagoda, Ben, 20 March 2013. I found the papers of the fact-checker who worked on In Cold Blood. What did he miss? Slate Magazine. Retrieved 4 August 2020. 13 Langbaum, Robert, 1966. Review, Capote's nonfiction novel. The American Scholar. 35, 3570. 80. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 14 Miller, Arthur. The Crucible. Page 3. A note on the historical accuracy of this play. Retrieved on 12 June 2022. The fate of each character is exactly that of his historical model, and there is no one in the drama who did not play a similar and in some cases exactly the same role in history. As for the characters of the persons, they may be taken as creations of my own, drawn to the best of my ability, in conformity with their known behavior, except as indicated in the commentary I have written for this text. External links, edit. 1966 interview of Capote by George Plimpton. Categories: nonfiction novels, nonfiction genres, novel forms. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.